Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our September 2024 OC HMS user meeting. Please enter your name and agency into the chat so we can take attendance. Our team will be covering the following topics in today's meeting: HMS policy and procedures, HMS Part 2 recertification, personally identifiable information, program move, funding, and program enrollments, deleting program enrollment, HMS agency audit, an overview of the Survivor CS workflow, project performance report. We will have some time for Q&A for questions for the topics that we discussed in this meeting, and some time for office hours for general HMS functionality questions. HMS policy and procedures. The OC HMS policy and procedure updates were approved during the August COC board meeting. We wanted to thank our HMS working group members, all the agencies listed on this slide. Thank you for their time and commitment in reviewing the policy and procedure and providing feedback and suggestions. We also want to thank all the users that provided feedback from our listening session as well. In the following slides, I would like to highlight changes to the HMS policy and procedures. The agency, there's been an update to agency access policy. Victim service provider receiving COC funds or ESG funds may request up to 5 licenses for read-only access in HMS for the purpose of care coordination. The provider will be required to pay the user fee for 1 to 5 users as outlined in the participating agency requirements section. Another update to the agency access policy is that agencies that submit the agency access application will also be required to take an online course to understand HMS requirements, and agencies that are approved to gain access to HMS will need to set up their agency and users within 90 days of approval. If this time lapse, they would need to resubmit an application for review. There's an update to agency audit policy that after 2 unsuccessful attempts of contacting the agency, the HMS lead agency will reach out to the agency leadership. If the agency remains unresponsive, then the agency's audit status would be set to fail. Agencies that fail the audit will be reviewed by the HMS Access Ad Hoc to determine the appropriateness of their agency participating in OC-HMS. Agencies that have findings from their audit meetings will also have a time frame to address those findings within 30 days. If those findings are not addressed, their status will also be set to fail. Another update is that agencies that pass their HMS annual audit will also be recognized on the OC-HMS website. For agencies that are interested in having a standalone liquor license, we updated the policy to include the license fee that is set by our vendor, and this price may change based on our vendor. Agencies can still access their data. The standalone liquor license is just an option for agencies who may want to schedule their own reports. Update work schedule. Agencies have shared that they either work remote or hybrid schedules, and so the feedback was to update to include remote work policy. The policy is that agencies should adhere and be consistent with the agency's expectation of information security for staff, whether they worked in the office or remotely or a hybrid schedule. Agency should at a minimum be in compliance with the OC HMS technical standard, which aligns with the HUD technical standards. There was also a request to replace the word entity with service provider or organization in the client consent form. So we will be making those update, and that will be published on our website shortly. Under the participating agency requirements, we also included updates to include the following required HUD reports to provide more detail regarding the timeline, that the HIC and PIT is the last 10 days of January. The system performance report time frame is October 1st to September 30th, the same time frame as the LSA. And we also included HMS participating agency schedule. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick to go over to that document. Diana, can you verify that you see our website?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to note we have a new document under our HMS policy and privacy form on the HMS participating agency schedule. Has been a request to map out the reports and schedules that we have in OC HMIS. So this spreadsheet provides that information. HUD reports, as mentioned, HIC and shelter pit, LSA and system performance. This would be the time frame that our agency will be reaching out to your agency to review your data and make corrections as needed. So the two reports that are coming up this fall would be the SPM and LSA. We'll be conducting initial reviews in October and asking for support following October all the way to February. And for HIC and PIT, you'll see the time frame is January to April. We will be providing additional context about the time frame of reporting. With the HIC and PIT, we may start a little bit earlier just to get a head start with review. And you'll see Orange County required reports, the PPRs. This is the different project type and the time frame that we report on these project type. Quarterly data report cards are done quarterly, and meetings and audits and data performance meeting are also included here as well. Okay. And can you confirm you see the PowerPoint full screen?
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you, Diana, for adding the links into the chat. Just want to take a quick pause if there's any questions regarding the updates to the policy and procedure document. I don't see any questions, so I'll move forward for now. Diana?
Good morning, everyone. As you know, we are currently in the midst of our HMIS Part 2 recertification. The schedule has been updated, so this will only take place for this summer for users that were added between June of 2023 and December of 2023. We are providing an extension for the deadline. Our original deadline was set for August 30th. Now, agency admins must submit the 2024 HMIS Part 2 recertification form for their users by September 20th to avoid the accounts being locked until the certification is complete. Users with read-only accounts or accounts created on or after January 1st are excluded from this requirement. Moving forward, the HMIS Part 2 recertifications will take place in July. Recertifications will resume for the following year of 2025 for all users. Agency administrators can run the agency active user report to review active users at their agency as needed. You'll find this in HMIS under the reports, data analysis, user management, and agency active users. And I am dropping the links for the recertification test and the form that is used by agency administrators to submit that information. We did just send a reminder to agency administrators yesterday for outstanding users. Again, you have until September 20th to get those users completed with the HMIS 2 recertification.
Thank you, Diana. And wanted to share a note. If you're reviewing the user list and notice users that are still active your agency but are no longer with your agency or no longer need HMS access, please do submit an HMS account update form and please deactivate their account. Thank you, Diana. I don't see any questions for this topic, so we'll move forward for now.
Okay, so now we're moving on to personally identifiable information. This is also known as PPI, and it's also known as protected personal information. It's a category of sensitive information that is located in HMIS that's associated with an individual person. This information should be accessed only on a strict need-to-know basis and handled and stored with care. This category includes, but is not limited to, first name, last name, date of birth, social security number. Personally identifiable information should never be sent to the HMIS help desk through text of the ticket or attached in a screenshot or other documents such as a report. If you need to discuss a specific client, only the client's HMIS client unique identifier should be sent. Agency administrators who repeatedly submit client identifying information to the HMIS help desk may be subject to corrective action.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Diana. I just want to add a quick note. If you do want us to review a report, you can upload the report in Dropbox, and that's a way to share the report. Please do not attach it to the ticket. And thank you, Diana. I don't see questions, so we'll move to the next slide with the example.
So the easiest way to let the HMIS help desk know which client and enrollment you need help with is to send us the link from the client's enrollment. You'll see that the actual URL is highlighted in yellow at the top of the screenshot on the right-hand side. You may also need to send the client's identifier along with the name of the program that they're enrolled in and the start date. This can be found on the client's profile page under the photo section of the client's profile tab. And again, you can see it on the right-hand side in the lower end. So that's where you'll find the unique identifier. For more information on client personally identifiable information, please refer to the following knowledge base article, and that's sending client information to the HMIS help desk. And I have dropped the link into our chat.
Thank you, Diana. I don't see any questions for this topic, so we'll move forward for now. Hugo?
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to begin by talking about funding and program enrollments. When a program's funding is ongoing, agency administrators should submit a ticket to the HMIS Help Desk at the start of every new fiscal year, detailing any updates or changes that need to be made to their funding sources. If a program's funding has ended and will not be updated, agency administrators should submit a project closeout form to the HMIS Help Desk to make the program inactive. Clients should only be exited from a program when they are no longer participating in that program. Clients should not be exited from an active program due to updates or changes in funding. Agency administrators should periodically review the agency setup dashboard to ensure that their funding sources are active and up to date. More information about this topic can be found on our Agency Setup Review Dashboard KB article.
Thank you, Hugo. We'll just pause to see if there's some questions, and thank you, Diana, for adding the links into the chat. Okay, I don't see any questions coming in for this topic, so we'll move forward for now.
Program move. When users mistakenly enroll a client in the wrong program, agency administrators can submit a ticket to the HMIS Help Desk to perform a program move and transfer that enrollment to the correct program within the same agency. Please keep in mind that agency administrators should not request a program move for clients who need to transfer enrollments to continue receiving services due to funding constraints. Those clients should have two separate enrollments to maintain an accurate historical record of their enrollment history. More information about this topic can be found in our Deleting Program Enrollment KB article. Next slide, please. So on this slide, you can see what it looks like from the user's perspective when a program move is completed successfully. On the left-hand side, you can see information about a fictitious client who was enrolled in the wrong program. And on the right-hand side is what should appear after a program move has been successfully completed. As you can see on the left-hand side, the fictitious client, Phoenix Wright, was enrolled in the wrong program, COC-funded Transitional Housing Training Project. After program move is completed, that program is then updated to the correct program, which in this instance would be the non-federally funded Transitional Housing Training Project. When a program move is successfully completed, all attached notes and services should also be transferred over. You can see this by looking at the bottom of the screen, where the notes added to the client's COC-funded Transitional Housing Training Project have also been transferred over to their non-federally funded Transitional Housing Training Project.
So I don't see any questions coming in, so we'll move forward for now. Michaela?
Good morning, everyone. I'll be presenting deleting duplicate program enrollments. In some cases, a client may have duplicate enrollments due to a client profile merge or data entry error. The user will need to reach out to their agency administrator, their HMIS agency administrator, to assist with deleting the duplicate program enrollment. Please keep in mind that only the AA will have access to the delete option. Please review the following information below to learn how to do this. If you do not see the trash can icon when hovering over the program enrollment, it is most likely there are services attached to the enrollment. You will need to delete the services. First, you would navigate to the History tab and hover over to the left of the service you wish to delete until the trash can icon appears and then select it. Step 2, after you click the trash can icon, you will get the following message to click OK and the service will be deleted. Step 3, proceed with deleting the program enrollment.
Thank you, Michaela. We did have a few questions come in about program moves, so I'm just going to go back to that slide real quick before you do your demo. Is that okay, Michaela?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we did have a question. What's the benefit of requesting a program move versus exiting and enrolling into the correct project? So in cases where the participant was enrolled in the wrong projects and the agency admin and users review and verify this is accurate, they were meant to be enrolled in this project but accidentally enrolled into the wrong project, this could be a program move request. It will reduce data entry for your user in your agency because the move is done on the HMS lead side. So our HMS team will support with the functionality and moving the enrollment. This will include enrollment, data entry, and services. As Hugo mentioned, any assessment or notes that were entered in that project would also be moved with the program move. Please note, this is only for program move that the enrollment was done into the incorrect program. And then we have a question, does this move include services and assessment? Yes, it would include the service and assessment that was attached to that project. So if the new project has any new service type, what if the program has a new service type and what if the program has a service type that the new program does not? It will still keep that historic data from that program. So all the historic data from the original enrollment would be transferred over.
How would it be stored if the service type is different, though? Would it be like a general note service or something like that?
For example, let's say the project had meal voucher in the original project, and when you move to the second project, it doesn't have that. It could be just a different service name. Instead of meal voucher, it can just say grocery. The meal voucher note will still be stored because it's keeping that historic record. But when you're entering notes for the new program, only the notes under that program or services under that program would be visible. So you won't be able to add any notes from the that original program.
Thank you.
Clear. If you need more clarification, please let me know.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your question. And Yuri, do you mind providing a little bit more context on your question?
Sure,
I'm trying
absolutely.
to. Thank you.
Mhm. Um, Ultimately, if the client is already enrolled into a program, but let's say they had no active engagement with outreach or whoever is assisting them, when it could have been a few months, half a year that passed by, and now we're presently working with the client, is it acceptable for us to add notes or move the program that's already been initiated?
So I believe your question is that if they are enrolled under a different agency, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so the program move would only occur within your agency. So the other agency's enrollment, you would just leave it as is. And if your agency is currently working with that participant, you can go ahead and create your own enrollment with your agency.
Understood. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your question. I don't see any other questions. So Michaela, I believe we're ready. If you're ready to do your demo.
Elizabeth, please let me know if you can see the HMIS screen, the clarity.
Yes, I can see the training site. Thank you.
Hey everyone, so I will be presenting on how to delete a duplicate enrollment. This demo is going to be shown on a fictitious account, but still will resemble the live site. You want to start by searching for the client record and then going to the Programs tab. Once on the Programs tab, you want to scroll to the History section, and you should see the programs that the client is enrolled in. You want to hover your mouse next to the program name of the one that you wish to delete, and you should see a trash can or edit icon appear. If you do not see the trash can icon next to the enrollment, it is most likely because the enrollment has services attached to it. You will need to unlink the services from the enrollment or delete the services from the History tab and delete the enrollment. You want to review both programs to determine which program has more information. That will be the primary enrollment. You want to transfer any services not already recorded from the duplicate enrollment into the primary enrollment, and then you can proceed to delete the services attached and then delete the duplicate enrollment. In my example, I've already prepared the transfer of service attached, and you always want to make sure that you transfer the service before deleting. You want to go to the History tab and hover over the duplicate service and then delete the service. You should be able to return to the programs page and see the trash can icon next to the enrollment in order to delete it. Once you select the trash can icon and click OK, you want to select OK in the pop-up window. And then the program enrollment should no longer be under the program history page.
Thank you, Michaela. Could you confirm you see the slides again?
Yes.
Thank you, Michaela, for sharing the demo. Just wanted to send a friendly reminder that this access is only for agency admins. So if you as an agency user run into a situation where you identify a duplicate enrollments, please reach out to your agency admin to request their support with the deletion of the duplicate enrollment. Michaela, I'm just gonna pause to see if we have any questions. Okay, Michaela, I don't see any questions, so we'll move forward for right now.
Two 2024 HMIS agency audits. The HMIS Help Desk team is currently conducting agency audits for 2024. If your agency has not participated in an audit this year, please be on the lookout for our email to schedule your agency's audit. This process kicks off in the summer and ends in the winter as we audit all active HMIS agencies and partners using comparable databases with COC ESG funds. We will need agency administrators to provide confirmation of the meeting date and executive director's contact information for electronic signatures of the agreement this year. There are reports attached to the form and in your agency Dropbox for review.
Thank you, Michaela. I don't think I see any questions about the agency audit, so we'll move forward. We wanted to start off and thank the Office of Care Coordination as well as CS CS admin team and Brown Friendship Shelter, Family Solution Collaborative, and Mercy House for supporting and reviewing this workflow and providing us support with providing steps on how to support with the Survivor CS. We've developed a KB and workflow that would provide additional information for housing provider that are receiving referrals through Survivor CS. And thank you, Diana, for adding that into the chat. We do encourage housing providers to please review the KB and flowchart for additional information. In the next couple of slides, we'll be providing an overview of this process. OC CS admin would be either individual or family CS. Sends match information to the housing provider via match email. Survivor CS access point will support by providing eligibility form to the housing provider. This is to support the housing provider with reviewing eligibility, program eligibility. The CS documents are available on the Office of Care Coordination site. All the links in the slides will also be included in the KB. Once the housing provider has received the match, the housing provider will need to go into HMIS and edit the housing opportunity. You'll see a screenshot to the right-hand side. When you're making an edit to the opportunity, you'll be adding this into the notes, adding the survivor ID. This is to reserve that housing opportunity so that other clients are not matched to the opportunity while eligibility is being reviewed and confirmed. Housing provider will inform the OC HMS admin and Survivor CS admin if the match is denied or accepted. If denied, the Survivor CS admin will update the Survivor CS community queue to reflect that the client was denied the housing opportunity and has returned to the community queue to be matched to another opportunity. The housing provider will go back to the housing opportunity in HMS and remove the survivor ID. No further action is needed if the match is denied. If accepted, the housing provider will complete the coordinated entry data entry for the client in HMS prior to enrolling them into the housing project. The housing provider will create a client record for the client if one does not already exist in HMIS. In the KB, we also noted that housing providers are not victim survivor service provider, so they are able to collect universal and project-specific data elements into HMIS. However, clients do have the option to not give consent, and there is additional information how to create a public client record without client identifying information. We attached that additional guidance in the KB, so please review the KB for additional context. Once the record is created, or once you identify the record in HMS, you'll be enrolling the client into the appropriate CS program. Individual will be any household type that isn't family. And for family CS, it would be at least one member is adult and a minor child between the ages of 0 and 17. Housing provider will also complete the following step to send and refer to the community queue. Upload the homeless verification and disabling condition forms, create a current living situation, and also create the CS assessment. And from the CS assessment, you'll be clicking the sending the referral through the assessment. The housing provider will notify the OC CS admin to match the client to the opportunity. And from there, the housing provider would move the client into housing and exit the client from the CS enrollment once moved into their housing project. After this is done, the housing provider will also notify the survivor CS admin once the household is housed. So the survivor CS admin will work with the survivor CS exit point to exit the household survivor CS enrollment. Diana, can you confirm that you see the flow chart?
Yes.
Thank you. As mentioned, this flowchart is also included in the KB. Just wanted to briefly go over this. This is the same information shared in the previous slides. The legend here will list the responsibilities for each individual team. So it would be OC CS admin, either family or individual, housing provider, and the survivor CS admin. As mentioned, the OC CS admin will be sending the match information to the housing provider through an email. The housing provider will need to go and edit the housing opportunity in HMIS to include the survivor ID and review the match to determine eligibility. From here, determining if the match is accepted or denied would let you know the next steps that would be carried out. If the match is denied, the housing provider would notify the OC CS admin and survivor CS admin the match has been denied. They would go back into the housing opportunity and remove the survivor ID. This is releasing the opportunity so that it's available for new matches. And the survivor CS admin would return the client to the survivor CS community queue to be matched to another opportunity. And from here, there's no further action for the housing provider. If the match is accepted, the housing provider will still also notify the CS admin teams if the match is accepted, then start data entry in HMIS. They would enroll the participant into the CS program, either family or individual, complete the enrollment, assessment, and referral, and additional steps as mentioned in the slide, uploading verification forms, as well as completing the current living situation, and then completing the appropriate CS assessment and sending the participant to the queue. Once the participant is on the queue, they would notify the appropriate CS admin, individual, or family so that the client can be matched to the housing opportunity. The OC CS admin will then go ahead and match the client to that reserve opportunity in HMIS. The housing provider would enroll the participant into their housing project once eligibility is confirmed and would exit the client from the CS enrollment once household is moved into housing unit. They would notify the survivor CS admin the household is housed, and the survivor CS admin would work with the survivor CS access point to exit household from survivor CS enrollment. Just want to take a quick pause if there's any questions. And just wanted to know, all the information that we covered today will be included in our recap newsletter. There are links in the chat for you to review as we're going through the meeting, but in the recap would include all this information as well. Feel free to add questions to the chat or unmute yourself. Or you can also, after reviewing, if there are questions that do come up, reach out to your agency admin, or if you're an agency admin, you can send the ticket to our HMS help desk directly. Christine, please feel free to ask your question.
Great, thank you. I don't quite understand the section when they're talking about the funding of a project. All of our projects in HMIS are COC projects as far as their funding. And while they have the same funding year over year, they do have a new grant agreement year over year. So I'm wondering if that's what you mean by project, like updating the project.
Let me stop sharing and go back to our slides. Diana, can you verify that you see the slides?
Yes.
And can you verify that you see the funding and program enrollment slide?
Yes.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you for your question. We wanted to clarify for projects that do receive ongoing funding that the project should not be closed out. The new funding source should be added to that program to keep it active. This also includes clients who are enrolled in that project. If they are continuing to be active in the project, their enrollment should still remain active and shouldn't be exited due to funding ending and a new funding source being added. So ongoing projects that receive ongoing funding, for example, COC or ESG projects may have ongoing funding from year to year. So those projects should continuously be active until that grant ends. I hope I addressed your question. Please feel free to ask any follow-up questions if I can provide additional context.
Oh, that makes sense. I think the response to me is basically don't do anything different because we do not close it out at the end of its operating cycle as far as HMIS. The closeouts we are doing is directly with HUD and when we do our APRs for the program, but we don't do any project closeout or program closeout within the system of HMIS.
Yes, that's correct. You would just do your year-end reporting, but the project will remain active since the funding is renewed for the following year. We wanted to add this slide as guidance as we do know there's new agencies coming on board. Wanted to provide that context as their fund might be ending. Just letting them know if the funding is ongoing, the project should remain active and a new project should not be set up and a new enrollment should not be created if the client remains active and the program remains active.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I just wanted to check the chat real quick. I don't see any questions regarding Survivor CS workflow, so we'll move forward for the next topic, but feel free to add your questions in the chat. We can always come back to it. Diana?
So this is regarding the project performance reports. Current and past PPRs can be found on our Orange County HMIS website. Can be found under the following path: OC HMIS website, reports, project performance reports. Corrections from the permanent supportive housing and other permanent housing PPR draft data will be uploaded to the agency's Dropbox by the end of next week. And if you would like an overview of the project performance, there's a helpful document that we also have on our website, which provides information regarding the PPRs, including the thresholds for each goal and our publishing schedule. So let me go ahead and put that information into the chat so it's available.
Diana, I don't see any questions, so we'll move forward for now. We also wanted to share some training and resources, and we also want to note that we do post training and resources on our website. So if you go on our website, you'll notice that we post when there's upcoming trainings from HUD, from the Office of Career Coordination, as well as materials published by HUD, and also announcement when we publish reports. The Office of Care Coordination shared that if you're receiving the Office of Care Coordination newsletter and HUD newsletter, you might have already reviewed this information, but we also wanted to share this, that there are some trainings coming up this month. The Office of Care Coordination will be covering HUD Equal Access Rule. And then HUD also has a training for Equal Access Rule later in the month as well. And there's also resources, an overview of Social Security Agency presentation. Wanted to share those resources and training in case your agency is interested in participating. And we also want to let everyone know that our HMS team is looking for a HMS support specialist. We're hoping to expand our team. So if you or someone you know is interested, please review the job description, and we encourage you in applying and joining our team. And we just want to thank you all for joining us. For those who join us a little bit later on, please do add your name and agency to the chat so that we can take attendance. Just wanted to pause for any Q&A for any topics that we covered and we didn't get to address yet. Please feel free to unmute yourself or add your question into the chat. I don't think I see any questions coming in. I just want to thank you all for your time today. Have a great day. Our next meeting will be October 2nd. And as a reminder, we'll be sending a recap with the recorded training, meeting minutes, and slides, which will also be recorded and be available on our website.